He had seen wars. He had burned cities. He had buried men whose names no one dared whisper. But nothing scared Mafia boss Luca Moretti more than the silence sitting across the breakfast table. The boy wasn't eating. Matteo Moretti, 8 years old, brown hair, quiet eyes. He looked small today, smaller than usual. Luca folded his newspaper and looked up. Matteo, he said quietly, you're not hungry? The boy didn't answer. He just shook his head. Luca's gaze dropped, and that's when he saw it. The sleeve of the boy's shirt was pulled halfway up, and underneath it was a thick, uneven bandage wrapped around his arm. Something twisted in Luca's chest. He leaned forward, voice tightening. What happened to your arm? The boy froze. His small shoulders stiffened. He mumbled, I fell. Luca's jaw clenched. He knew that tone, that fear. It wasn't the kind of fear a child felt after falling. It was the kind that came from someone else's hand. He stood up, walked around the table, and knelt beside his son. He touched the bandage gently. The skin beneath was swollen, dark blue at the edges. Matteo flinched. Luca's voice dropped to a whisper. Matteo, look at me. The boy lifted his eyes, cheerful, trembling, caught between wanting to speak and being too afraid to. Who did this to you? Matteo's lips parted, but no words came out. He just looked down and shook his head again. Luca's heart pounded in his ears. He could almost taste the anger rising, the kind of anger that made men disappear. Before he could press further, the heavy wooden door creaked open behind them. A low, gravelly voice filled the room. The boy fell. Don't make a scene over a scratch. Luca turned. Standing in the doorway was Vincenzo Moretti, his father, the old lion. White hair slicked back, cane in one hand, glass of grappa in the other, even at 10 in the morning. His presence still carried the weight of a man who once ruled the streets before Luca did. Luca rose slowly. He said he fell. Vincenzo grunted. And that should be enough. Luca stared at him. You saw it happen. I don't need to see it. I know boys. They climb trees. They fall. Stop treating him like glass. There was something in his tone, dismissive, cold, defensive. Luca's fists tightened at his sides. He's not glass. He's my son. Vincenzo smirked, taking a sip of his drink. Then teach him to be a man, not a coward. The words landed like a slap. Matteo's eyes welled with tears. He turned his face away, pretending to wipe his nose. But Luca saw it, the quiet shame. Luca stepped forward, voice low but burning. Don't ever speak to him like that. Vincenzo chuckled, leaning on his cane. I built this family, boy. You think you can talk to me like you're the boss in my house? Luca's tone hardened. This isn't your house anymore, old man. You gave it to me when you gave me your crown. A dangerous silence filled the room. Even the sea outside seemed to pause. Then, Vincenzo scoffed. Your crown? He laughed dryly. You wear it well. But remember, it still belongs to the blood that gave it to you. Sound of the cane tapping the marble floor as he walks away. The moment he left, Matteo whispered softly, I'm sorry, Papa. Luca turned to him immediately, kneeling again. Hey, you don't ever say sorry for being hurt, okay? Ever. He hugged his son tightly, and for the first time in years, his hands trembled. Because deep down, he already knew. Matteo wasn't lying about the fall, but someone was lying about the reason. Hours later, Luca stood alone in his office, staring at old family photos. His father with him as a child, teaching him to shoot, to lead, to kill when necessary. And now that same man might have hurt his grandson. He poured himself a drink, not out of habit, but to keep his hands from shaking. He muttered under his breath, If it was you, God help you, old Manuel. A knock at the door. It's Maria, the housemaid, elderly, kind, nervous. Signore, I found this near the stairs earlier. She handed him a small fragment, a piece of Matteo's broken toy car. The metal edge had dried blood on it. He said he fell down the stairs, she added softly, but the stairs are carpeted. Luca froze. Did anyone else see him before he came in? Maria hesitated. Only your father, sir. They were outside, by the shed. The drink slipped from Luca's hand, shattering on the floor. Dust floats in the sunlight. A broken branch, a crushed patch of dirt, and on the ground, Matteo's other toy, snapped clean in two. He touches it, his mind spinning. He remembers his father's words that morning, stop treating him like glass. That wasn't advice. That was a confession. Luca's jaw tightens. His voice, cold and low, escapes through gritted teeth. You hurt my son, old man? A sound from behind. The cane taps on stone. Vincenzo's voice. You digging for ghosts, boy? Luca turns slowly. His father stands there, no drink this time, just a cigarette. The wind ruffles his white hair. He's a child, Luca says. If I ever what? Vincenzo cuts in sharply. You'll shoot me? Like you shot the men who built your throne? Luca steps closer, fury burning through his restraint. You don't touch him. Not once. Not ever again. Vincenzo exhales a stream of smoke. The world touches everyone, Luca. Better he learns early that pain keeps you strong. Luca's voice cracks, part anger, part heartbreak. You taught me pain. You think it made me strong? A long silence. Then Vincenzo's voice softens, almost regretful. It kept you alive. He turns away and walks toward the house. Luca watches him go, every step echoing with memories of the man who raised him through violence, shaped him with fear, and called it love. For the first time in years, Luca feels something unfamiliar. Doubt. Was his father protecting the family, or destroying it from the inside? Night falls. The villa is quiet. Crickets outside. A clock ticks. Luca tucks Matteo into bed. The boy clings to his arm, whispering, Papa, you're not mad at Nonno, right? Luca hesitates. Why do you ask? Matteo sniffles. He said, not to tell you what happened. That if I did, you'd send him away. Luca's blood turns cold. He forces a calm smile. You can tell me anything, Matteo. Always. The boy nods, but his lips press tight again, fear in his eyes. Luca strokes his hair gently. You can tell me tomorrow, okay? Tomorrow, when the sun's up. Matteo nods again, his small voice trembling. Okay. Outside, he leans against the wall, eyes shut tight, fists trembling. Inside his chest, anger coils like a storm waiting to break. If Vincenzo really hurt Matteo, if he really crossed that line, blood would spill again in this house. He walks to the balcony, lights a cigarette, and stares out at the black sea. His reflection in the glass shows two faces, his own, and behind him, the faint silhouette of his father walking down the hall. Luca's whisper cuts through the quiet. You better not make me your enemy, old Manuel. Matteo's scream pierces the silence. Luca drops the cigarette and sprints toward the room. He bursts through the door. The boy is sitting up in bed, shaking, tears streaming down his face. Luca kneels beside him, heart racing. Matteo, what happened? The boy clutches his broken arm, sobbing. He looks up, eyes wide with terror, and whispers the words that freeze Luca's soul. It was Nonno. That night, the storm finally came. But not from the sky. By morning, the world looked the same, but for Luca Moretti, nothing would ever be the same again. He hadn't slept. Not a second. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw his son's tear-streaked face, those shaking hands clutching the broken arm, and the voice that shattered everything he believed. It was Nonno. Luca stood by the window, staring out over the sea. Sunlight glinted off the waves, too peaceful, too cruel. His reflection stared back at him, tired eyes, dark circles, and behind them, fury. He whispered to himself, voice low and cold. You laid a hand on my son, old man. I'll break more than your arm. The door creaked open. Maria, the maid, entered quietly. Signore, your father is in the kitchen. He asked for espresso. Luca didn't answer. He just slipped on his jacket and walked out, every step echoing through the silent house. Vincenzo sat at the table, Newspaper open, his cane resting beside him. He looked calm, too calm. When Luca walked in, he didn't even look up. "You're up early," he muttered. Luca's voice was flat. "You heard him." Vincenzo's hands paused mid-turn of the newspaper page. He didn't answer. "Don't lie to me," Luca continued. "He told me. Matteo told me everything." Vincenzo folded the paper slowly, then raised his eyes, steady, cold, and sharp as glass. "The boy talks too much." Luca's blood turned to ice. He slammed his fist on the table. The cups rattled. "He's 8 years old, and already learning how to lie." Vincenzo's tone was firm. "You think I hit him because I enjoy it? No. I did it because he needed to learn something. You're raising him soft, Luca." "Weak!" Luca leaned forward, voice shaking with fury. "You broke his arm, you old bastard." Vincenzo's expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. A flicker of something, guilt, fear, passed across his face, then vanished. "You don't understand," he said finally. "You never did. Then make me understand." Luca snapped. "Because right now, I swear to God, I can't tell if I'm talking to my father or a monster." Vincenzo sighed, leaned back, and reached for his espresso. His hand shook slightly. "I did what I had to. For the family." "For the family?" Luca echoed bitterly. "Breaking my son's arm protects the family?" Vincenzo looked up, eyes cold but heavy. "You'll see one day. Pain keeps the blood strong, makes the world stay afraid of us." Luca laughed, a hollow, angry sound. "You think fear built this empire? You're wrong. It's loyalty. It's trust. The very things you just destroyed." Vincenzo's voice rose for the first time, cracking with age and fury. "And what do you know about loyalty, huh? You sit in that chair because of me. You wear that suit, live in this house, all because I killed for you before you even learned how to hold a gun." Luca stared at him, his father, trembling with rage, yet smaller now, frailer. The old lion, roaring just to prove he still could. Then something in Vincenzo's eyes flickered again. Not just anger, but fear. Luca noticed it. He leaned in. "What are you not telling me?" Vincenzo looked away. "Drop it." "No. Luca, tell me the truth." Vincenzo slammed his cane on the floor. The sound echoed through the villa. "You think you want the truth, but you don't. There are things better buried." Luca's voice turned cold. "You're hiding something, and if I find out you hurt Matteo because of it, God help you." He turned and walked out, leaving his father sitting there, breathing hard. His right-hand man, Enzo, walks in. A scarred, loyal soldier who's been with Luca for 20 years. "Boss," Enzo says quietly, "word around town is your old man's been seen meeting some old friends." Luca looks up sharply. "What friends?" "From before your time. Guys from the Di Martino family." Luca frowns. "The Di Martinos are finished. We buried them years ago." "Not all of them," Enzo mutters. "And it looks like Vincenzo's been paying visits. Cash payments. No names. Just envelopes." Luca sets his glass down slowly. "You sure?" "Positive. My guys followed him twice last week." Luca feels the anger rise again, but now mixed with dread. He stands, pacing to the window. His mind races. Why would his father meet with the Di Martinos? Why the secrecy? And what did Matteo's broken arm have to do with it? He whispers under his breath, "Old lion, what the hell are you hiding?" He turns the handle. Locked. He exhales slowly, then uses a small knife to pick the lock, something he learned from Vincenzo himself. The door clicks open. Inside, the study smells of old cigars, dust, and secrets. The walls are lined with photos, Vincenzo with politicians, with other dons, with Luca as a child. But behind the desk, a hidden panel catches Luca's eye. He pulls it open. Inside, a wooden box. Inside the box, a pistol, half loaded. And an envelope. He opens it. Photographs spill out. Luca's heart stops. They're photos of Matteo, playing in the garden, walking home from school, sitting in the car. Each one taken from a distance. He flips one over, a date written on the back, 2 weeks ago, and underneath the photos, a small piece of paper. A note. You can't protect him forever. Luca's stomach twists. Footsteps echo in the hall behind him. He spins around, gun drawn, as the door creaks open. Vincenzo stands there, framed in the doorway, his face half in shadow. He's holding his cane, and in his other hand, a gun. You shouldn't have looked in there, Vincenzo says quietly. Luca raises his weapon. You tell me right now what this is. Who's following my son? Vincenzo's voice is eerily calm. They were going to come for him, Luca. For you. Who? People you don't understand. People I thought were gone. Luca steps closer, his voice trembling with rage and disbelief. You broke his arm to protect him? To cover this up? Vincenzo's face hardens. I had to make them think he wasn't important, that he wasn't your blood. Luca stares, stunned. What are you talking about? Vincenzo doesn't answer. He just looks at Luca with a mix of sorrow and defiance. You're not ready for this war, son. Luca's voice drops to a whisper. Try me. They stand there, father and son, guns drawn, silence between them heavy with years of love and hate. Soft wind howls outside. The chandelier trembles slightly, the tension unbearable. Vincenzo lowers his weapon first. Put the gun away, Luca. You'll need it soon enough. Just not on me. He turns to leave, but Luca grabs his arm. You're not walking out of this room until you tell me everything. Vincenzo looks back, eyes old but fierce. You'll know soon, but once you do, you'll wish you didn't. He pulls his arm free, limps out of the study, and disappears into the dark hallway. Luca stands frozen, chest heaving, staring at the open box, the photos, the note, the evidence that someone had been watching his son, and the words echo in his mind. I had to make them think he wasn't your blood. What did that mean? Who were they? Luca closes the box and whispers to himself, if you're lying, old man, I'll find out, and I'll end it. He thought the worst was over, but that night was only the beginning. Because by sunrise, one thing would be clear. The old lion still had teeth, and one secret still had blood on it. By dawn, the sea looked calm. But inside that house, every shadow felt dangerous. Luca hadn't slept. He couldn't. The images wouldn't leave his mind. The photos, the note, the blood on his son's bandage, and his father's words echoing again and again. I had to make them think he wasn't your blood. He didn't know what that meant, but every part of him screamed one thing. His father was hiding something. Something deadly. Luca walked down the hall, the floor cold under his feet. His gun was tucked into the back of his pants. He wasn't sure if he carried it for protection or for revenge. When he reached the study door, he froze. Voices. One was his father's, rough, low. The other, Enzo's. Vincenzo. You think I don't know what you've done, Enzo? Enzo. I don't know what you mean, old Manuel. Vincenzo. Don't lie to me. You've been feeding them information. You've brought danger to this house. Then silence. Sharp, dangerous silence. Luca's pulse quickened. He stepped closer just as a chair scraped the floor. You're out of your mind, Enzo muttered. No, Vincenzo growled. I'm still the only one who remembers how to keep this family alive. Then, the metallic sound of a gun being cocked. Luca burst through the door. Both men turned, startled. Vincenzo stood by the desk, gun in hand. Enzo stood opposite him, tense, pale, sweat glistening on his temple. What the hell is going on here? Luca's voice cut through the air. Neither answered. Vincenzo lowered his weapon slightly. Your friend here's been lying to you, he said, feeding our enemies pieces of your empire. Enzo barked a bitter laugh. He's losing his mind, boss. Look at him. He's drunk. Shut up, Vincenzo roared. The old man's voice echoed off the walls. The veins in his neck stood out. His hands shook, but his aim didn't. I saw the money transfers, Vincenzo said. The messages. The meeting at the dock. Luca's eyes darted between them. His head pounded. He didn't know who to believe, the man who raised him, or the man who stood beside him for 20 years. Both of you put the guns down, Luca ordered. But neither moved. Slow building music. The tension is unbearable. Vincenzo's voice softened suddenly, almost pleading. Son, I'm trying to protect what's left of us. Enzo's been working with the Di Martinos. That's why they were watching Matteo. That's why I had to make them think. He hesitated. His eyes flicked toward Luca. That the boy wasn't yours. Luca froze. Finish that sentence. It was the only way to stop them from taking him. Vincenzo shouted. They wanted proof, proof the heir to your throne was really your blood. If they thought he wasn't. You're lying, Enzo snapped. You're spinning stories to save yourself. Matteo's just a kid, and you. Before he could finish, Vincenzo swung the gun toward him. Luca stepped between them, shouting, Stop! Everyone stop. For a moment, nobody moved. The three men, father, son, and friend, frozen in a triangle of betrayal and fear. Then Vincenzo's hand began to tremble. You think you're ready to be a father, Luca? He muttered. You can't even see the snakes under your own roof. And you think breaking a child makes you strong? Luca fired back. You're no lion anymore, old man. You're just afraid. Vincenzo's eyes glistened, not with rage, but something deeper. Regret. He lowered the gun slowly. You'll understand one day what it costs to protect blood. But as he did, Enzo suddenly moved. A flash of metal. He drew his own gun. Luca saw it. Too late. Bang! The shot thundered through the villa. Glass shatters. Birds scatter outside. Time slows. Vincenzo stumbled backward, hitting the wall. His gun clattered to the floor. Luca's scream tore through the silence. No! He rushed to his father's side, grabbing him as blood spread across Vincenzo's shoulder. Enzo stood frozen, breathing hard, his gun still raised. He was gonna shoot me, Enzo shouted. Boss, he was gonna. Luca's glare cut through him. Put the gun down. Enzo hesitated, then obeyed, lowering it slowly. Luca turned back to Vincenzo, pressing his hand against the wound. Don't you dare die on me. The old man coughed, his voice weak. It's just a scratch. I've had worse. Luca looked up at Enzo, fury trembling in his voice. Call the doctor. Now. Enzo nodded and rushed out, but not before glancing back once. His eyes weren't just scared. They were calculating. Luca caught it. He felt it deep in his gut. Something wasn't right. He looked up at Luca, who sat nearby, silent. You still don't believe me, Vincenzo said softly. You haven't given me a reason to, Luca replied coldly. Vincenzo sighed, a deep, tired breath. When I said they wanted proof, I meant it. The Di Martinos are after your legacy, your son. They think Matteo isn't really yours. Luca's eyes darkened. You expect me to believe that? It's the truth, Vincenzo said. Someone inside our circle told them a rumor that Matteo's real father was another man. Someone your wife once knew before she married you. Luca's heart stopped. He stared at his father, unable to breathe. That's a lie, he whispered. I know, Vincenzo said. But they don't. And they wanted proof, a DNA test. They tried to get close to Matteo, to take something. Hair, blood, anything. I found out, and I made them back off. By making it look like the boy wasn't yours. That's why I did it. Luca finally speaks, voice breaking. You could have told me. Would you have listened? Vincenzo asks quietly. Tears sting Luca's eyes, but he hides them. You don't get to decide how I protect my son. And you don't get to decide who dies because of your pride, Vincenzo snaps back. You're playing king while the wolves are already inside the castle. They stare at each other, the weight of years of blood, love, and disappointment between them. Then a faint sound interrupts the silence, a car engine outside. Luca turns toward the window. That's Enzo's car, he mutters. But something feels off. The engine isn't fading. It's idling. Waiting. Luca grabs his gun. Stay here. He moves through the hallway, every instinct screaming danger. He looks out through the curtains. Enzo's car is still parked in the driveway. But Enzo isn't inside. Then, the study door creaks open behind him. Papa? It's Matteo, standing in the hallway in his pajamas, clutching his teddy bear. His eyes wide with confusion. I heard shouting. Luca rushes to him, kneeling. It's okay, son. Go back upstairs. But before the boy can move, a shadow passes the window. Click. Luca spins toward the sound, his instincts flaring. And there, just beyond the glass doors, Enzo stands, a gun in his hand. Enzo's eyes are cold now, lifeless. Sorry, boss, he murmurs. Orders changed. The muzzle flashes. Luca grabs Matteo and dives. The bullet shatters the window behind them. He rolls, shielding the boy with his body. Glass rains down. Matteo screams. Vincenzo, still bleeding, shouts from the study. Luca! Luca pulls Matteo behind the couch, gun drawn. Stay down, don't move. He peers over. Enzo is gone. Only the sound of the idling car remains. Then, silence. He looks around. The air feels colder now. Still. Then he sees it. A small trail of blood leading away from the car, toward the trees behind the house. He follows it, step by step. The sunlight flickers through the branches. At the edge of the property, the trail stops. The ground is disturbed, footprints, heavy ones, leading toward the forest. And at Luca's feet, a single item lies in the dirt. His father's cane, smeared with fresh blood. By nightfall, Enzo had vanished. But so had Vincenzo Moretti. And all that was left behind was the cane of the men who once ruled them all. The old lion was gone, but his secrets weren't. By sunrise, Vincenzo Moretti, the old lion, was gone. No trace, no sound of footsteps, just his blood on the floor, and his cane lying in the dirt behind the trees. Luca hadn't slept. He sat in his father's study, the room still smelling faintly of cigar smoke and wine. His father's world, frozen in time. The clock on the wall ticked louder than it ever had. Every second felt like a threat. He stared at the open drawer on the desk, his father's files, half-burned papers, old letters, photos of men long dead. Among them, one picture stood out, a black and white photo of a small vineyard behind the family's old estate, far outside the city. And on the back of that photo, a single handwritten line. If I disappear, start digging. Luca froze. His chest tightened. He whispered to himself, start digging? Matteo sat in the back seat, quietly holding his teddy bear. His arm was still bandaged, his eyes distant. Beside him, Rosa, the family's housekeeper, looked worried. You sure you want to bring him, boss? She asked softly. He's safer with me than alone, Luca said, gripping the steering wheel tighter. And if my father's alive, I'm going to find him. They arrived at the old vineyard, a place untouched for years. The wooden gate creaked open as Luca pushed it. The smell of earth and grapes hung in the air. Everything was calm, too calm. He looked around. Birds fluttered across the fields, but there were faint tire marks near the back fence. Someone had been here. They walked toward the far end of the vineyard, where the land slopes down to a small clearing shaded by olive trees. Luca remembered this place from his childhood. He used to come here with his father, when life still felt simple. Back then, Vincenzo used to say, every man carries two lives, Luca, the one he shows the world, and the one he buries in the soil. Those words echoed now, and suddenly, they didn't sound poetic anymore. As Luca reached the clearing, something caught his eye. The soil had been disturbed recently. A patch of ground, freshly turned, surrounded by dried flowers. Rosa gasped. Dear God, what is that? Luca knelt. The dirt was soft, uneven. His heart pounded as he brushed away the top layer. His fingers hit something solid, wood. A box. He froze. Then slowly, carefully, dug around it until he could lift it out. It was old, but not ancient, like someone had buried it just days ago. Matteo stood behind him, clutching Rosa's hand. Papa! What's in there? Luca's throat was dry. I don't know, son. He pried it open. Inside, plastic-wrapped documents, an old revolver, a black rosary, and a photograph. He lifted the photo out. It showed a younger Vincenzo, standing beside a man Luca didn't recognize. They were smiling, but the man beside his father bore the Di Martino family tattoo on his neck. No, Luca whispered. He worked with them. He pulled out the documents, bank ledgers, property transfers, coded notes, all signed by Vincenzo Moretti. His father had done business with their enemies. Rosa looked pale. Maybe he was undercover, trying to. No, Luca cut her off. This wasn't an act. These are signed contracts. He looked at the papers again. One folder was labeled Project S. Inside it, a birth certificate. His hands shook as he read the names. Mother, Isabella Moretti. Father, classified. Child, Matteo Moretti. His breath caught in his chest. What the hell is this? Rosa stepped closer, confused. Classified? What does that mean? Luca stared at the page, his pulse racing. It means my father was hiding who Matteo's real father is. His voice broke mid-sentence. He dropped the paper, staring into the dirt. Suddenly, Matteo's small voice breaks the silence. Papa, there's something else. He pointed to a second patch of dirt nearby, smaller, but sunken, as if something had been buried deeper. Luca stood and walked over, his boots crunching the soil. He grabbed the shovel from Rosa's hand and started digging. The ground was hard, heavy. Each strike echoed like thunder. Rosa's voice trembled. Boss, maybe we should wait. No, Luca growled. I'm finishing this. Minutes passed. Sweat poured down his face. Then, the shovel hit something again. Not wood, not metal. Something soft. He knelt, pushed the dirt aside, and then he saw it, a human hand. Rosa gasped. Matteo covered his mouth, eyes wide with fear. Luca's breath came fast. He kept digging, desperate, until the face beneath the dirt appeared. An older man, gray hair, familiar suit. His voice cracked, barely a whisper. No, 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 no. It was Vincenzo, his father. Thunder rumbles in the distance. Luca fell to his knees, hands trembling as he brushed the soil from the lifeless face. Papa, what did they do to you? Rosa covered her mouth, tears streaming. Matteo clung to her, trembling. Luca leaned closer, searching for any sign of life. None. His father's body was cold, his lips slightly parted, as if he tried to say something before he died. In his pocket, something glinted. Luca reached in and pulled out a small silver locket. Inside, a picture of Matteo, and behind it, a folded piece of paper stained with dirt and blood. He unfolded it with shaking hands. It was a note, written in his father's handwriting. They found out. Enzo works for them. Don't trust the men in the house. The boy isn't safe. Forgive me, Luca. I buried one lie to protect another. V! Luca's world shattered. His chest ached like it might split open. He looked down at the body, tears burning his eyes. You could have told me the truth, he whispered. You didn't have to die like this. Long silence. The wind howls softly through the vines. Then, suddenly, Matteo tugged on his sleeve. Papa. Luca turned. The boy's voice was barely a whisper. There's someone there. Luca's heart skipped. He stood fast, scanning the vines. Between the rows, a figure moved, black suit, hat, sunglasses, slowly approaching. Rosa, take him to the car, Luca ordered. His voice was calm, but his hand shook as he lifted the gun. The figure stepped into the clearing. It was Enzo. He stopped a few feet away, smirking faintly. You found him, Enzo said. Didn't think you would. Luca's eyes burned. You killed him. Enzo shrugged. He made it easy. Old men talk too much. You're going to regret saying that, Luca growled. Enzo's tone turned cold. You still don't get it, do you? This wasn't about your father. It's about the boy. Luca tightened his grip on the gun. You touch him, and I swear. Relax, Enzo interrupted. Orders are to bring him in alive. For testing. Matteo's eyes filled with tears. Papa. That single word broke Luca. He fired. Bang! The shot echoed across the field. Birds scattered from the vines. But Enzo was gone, vanished into the rows. Another shot fired back. Dirt exploded near Luca's feet. Rosa, run! Luca shouted. They ran toward the car, bullets whistling past them, glass shattering as they ducked behind the old stone wall. Luca fired again, hitting one of the vineyard barrels. Wine spilled out, dark red, like blood. Enzo's laughter echoed between the vines. You're already too late, boss. You don't even know who that kid really is. Luca yelled back, voice full of rage. He's my son. Is he? Enzo taunted. Ask your father's ghost. Then, silence again. Enzo was gone. Wind blows softly. The vines sway. The world stands still. Luca turned back to the grave, his father's body half covered again by the dirt and dust. He felt hollow, broken, but not beaten. He whispered, almost to himself, they wanted war. Now they'll get one. He took the note, tucked it into his jacket, and looked at Matteo. No more lies, he said softly. From now on, I protect you, no matter who comes for us. He glanced at the grave one last time. Rest now, old lion. I'll finish what you started. The truth was out of the ground now, and every secret buried with it was ready to kill. By noon, the world had gone quiet. No calls, no allies, no truth left that didn't hurt. Luca Moretti stood at the edge of the pier, wind whipping through his hair, the ocean stretching endlessly before him. His black shirt clung to his back, soaked in sweat and salt. In his pocket, his father's note, stained with blood. They found out. Enzo works for them. Don't trust the men in the house. The boy isn't safe. Those words kept replaying in his mind, like a curse. Behind him, the city skyline shimmered in the heat. In front of him, the sea. And somewhere out there, Enzo, the man who had once called him brother. Footsteps echo softly on the wooden boards. Rosa's voice broke the silence. Boss, you don't have to do this alone. Luca didn't turn. Yes, I do. You have Matteo, she whispered. He needs his father alive. Luca finally looked back. His eyes, tired, red, burning with grief and fury, met hers. He already lost his grandfather. I'm not letting him grow up thinking monsters win. He turned back toward the ocean. A small fishing boat floated in the distance, black hull, tinted windows. Waiting. Rosa frowned. That's Enzo's boat. Luca nodded. He called. Said if I want answers. To meet him here. Alone. It's a trap, she said. I know. He loaded his gun and tucked it under his jacket. Stay with Matteo. If I don't come back. Don't say that, Rosa interrupted, voice trembling. If I don't come back, he repeated. Take him to my cousin in Sicily. Tell him. The old lion finally roared his last. He walks away. The waves grow louder. The air feels heavier. At the far end of the pier, Enzo stood beside a crate, cigarette dangling from his lips. He wore sunglasses, a gray suit, and a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Took you long enough, boss, he said. Thought maybe you lost your nerve. You killed my father, Luca replied quietly. Enzo chuckled. Killed? Nah. He killed himself the moment he started lying to everyone. I just helped bury the truth. Luca's jaw tightened. You've got one chance, Enzo. Tell me who ordered it. Enzo flicked the cigarette into the water. You really want the truth? I've already buried enough lies. Enzo smirked, but there was something hollow in his eyes. It wasn't just the Di Martinos, he said. It was your father. He made a deal with them years ago to protect you. Protect me? Luca spat. By selling out my family? By trading something more valuable, Enzo said. You. Luca froze. What did you just say? Your old man cut a deal with them after your mother died. Promised that if they left you alone, he'd give them whatever they wanted when the time came. And what did they want? The boy. The world stops. The sound of the ocean fades. Luca's voice broke. Matteo? Enzo nodded. The Di Martinos wanted blood proof, your bloodline. Your son's DNA could prove the Moretti claim to half this city. They wanted it. And your father agreed to hand him over when the time came. Luca's hand shook. You're lying. Am I? Enzo said, smirking. He just couldn't do it. So he tried to fake the kid's identity. Make them think Matteo wasn't yours. That's why the boy got hurt. They tried to take him, and your father fought back. But it was too late. They already knew the truth. Luca stepped closer, his voice a growl. And you helped them. Someone had to survive this game, Enzo said. And it sure as hell wasn't gonna be the old lion. Luca drew his gun. The metallic click echoed over the waves. You stood beside me for 20 years, Luca whispered. You called me brother. And you'd sell my son. Don't act holy, Enzo snapped. You're no saint, Luca. We all built this empire on blood. The only difference is I'm not pretending it's clean. Long silence. Wind howls. Waves crash against the pier. You're right, Luca said. It's not clean. But today, it gets washed. He fired. Bang. The bullet tore through Enzo's shoulder, sending him staggering back against a crate. Enzo laughed through the pain. You should have aimed higher. Before Luca could react, Enzo pulled something from behind the crate. A small black remote. He pressed the button. Smoke erupted from the coastline, the old vineyard. Luca's heart dropped. Matteo. Enzo grinned, blood dripping from his lip. You should have brought him with you, boss. Maybe then you'd have had a chance. Luca fired again, this time straight through Enzo's chest. The man fell back, crashing into the water below, his laughter swallowed by the sea. The pier shakes. The sound of sirens in the distance. Smoke rising in the horizon. Luca ran, his breath ragged, his mind on fire. Luca's car skids to a stop. He jumps out, coughing through the smoke. Rosa. Matteo. Through the haze, he sees them. Rosa kneeling, clutching the boy tightly. They're alive. Bruised but breathing. Luca falls to his knees beside them, pulling Matteo into his arms. You're okay. You're okay. Matteo whispers, voice trembling. I saw a man, Papa. He said you can't stop what's coming. Luca looks up, scanning the burning fields. He said his name was Silvio. Luca freezes. His eyes widen. Silvio Di Martino. The new head of the Di Martino family. The same man who had vanished years ago, presumed dead. Luca's heart pounds as realization hits him. He's back. Rosa looks at him, terrified. What does he want? Luca's voice turns cold. Everything. My son, my blood, my father's empire. He looks toward the sea, the smoke reflecting in his eyes. But I'm not giving him a damn thing. Soft, emotional music begins, slow strings under heavy breathing. He stands, holding Matteo's hand, staring into the distance as the waves crash beyond the hills. This isn't over, he whispers. This started with blood, and it'll end with it. By noon, one truth became clear. Luca Moretti wasn't just fighting for revenge anymore. He was fighting for his bloodline, his legacy, and his son. Soft pause. And as the smoke rose over the vineyard, the city whispered a new name in fear. The lion has returned. The war had begun. And before it ended, everyone with a Moretti name would bleed.